What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is another episode of Nerf Combos. Wait, no, it's a review of the combo. This is the Rebelle Combow. Yeah, Hasbro is making their own combos right out of the box. This blaster consists of two different blasters. The base blaster is a spring-powered and it works like a traditional blaster with a 4-shot smart AR system up front. Then separately, you also have a bow, which can be operated by itself or attached to the primary blaster to work in unison. And that also has a 4-barrel smart AR system. So let's get to the unboxing. Included with this blaster is the primary blaster, the secondary or bow blaster, a few purple AccuStrike Rebelle darts, which are the same as AccuStrike but purple, and the instructions. While it's very gimmicky, it is a pretty cool concept, so I'll start off with the overview with the base blaster. So I'll take off the bow part so you can tell what I'm talking about. This is the core blaster. Starting up at the front, it has 4 barrels and it operates on the smart AR system, so if you only load in 1 dart, it'll fire it wherever it is. But it's a stationary barrel system, it's not a turret that rotates or anything like that. Up top, there's an Instrike tactical rail, so if you want to attach any optics or anything, or the included bow, which would probably make the most sense, but it's not a proprietary rail, it is a standard Instrike rail. Right behind the rail, you have this goofy little notch system. When you press this trigger, you lower the little notch, which allows you to fire the bow remotely. Kind of. And the second notch locks the bow in place. But when you want to remove that bow, you can hit this little notch back here that looks like the priming action on like a hammer shot, but it's not. It's just a release catch, so it lowers that little notch, allowing you to pull off the bow. And behind that button is the priming handle for the bow, so you pull it back and you're primed. Down below is the primary trigger. Without the bow attached, it works like a normal trigger. With the bow attached, it works like a 2-stage trigger, meaning you halfway pull down and you can fire one, and then you pull it all the way down and you fire the second blaster. Getting to this grip stock thing, it looks super weird. But you probably knew that looking at, I mean, it's a bow that attaches to a blaster, it's not traditional. And of course that stock is too small to actually use unless you're a hobbit. But that is the base blaster. Now we'll go over the secondary blaster, which does operate as its own blaster. So this one is a bow, and when it operates alone, it doesn't have a catch mechanism, so you can't fire it with a trigger. Like the base blaster, the bow has 4 barrels up front, and it also works with a smart AR system, so if you just load 1 barrel, it'll shoot. Otherwise, it'll just shoot one at a time. This is powered with an internal spring, but again, it doesn't have a catch mechanism when it's alone. So when you pull back the priming handle, you have to hold it back and then let go, and that's how you fire. As a standalone blaster, this blaster is pretty tricky to use. It's not especially comfortable. Pulling back the priming handle, it actually takes a little bit of force, and to hold it open, trying to align that shot, it's not an especially easy bow style blaster to use. And you could totally hack off the arms and the string because it's powered with an internal spring, but style points for it looking like a bow. Sort of. And that's pretty much it for the bow alone. It's not that spectacular by itself, but when you put these two together, it actually turns into something kind of cool. On the bottom of the bow, there's the attachment mech for the rail, so this can slide onto Instrike tactical rails. While it's compatible with any rail, it doesn't really make sense to attach it to anything other than this rail because of that trigger extension that I already mentioned. So it can slide on just like most other attachments, and that locks into place. And if you try to pull the bow off just like this, it's pretty sturdy. It's much sturdier than most attachments. That's to prevent an accidental like disconnection or whatever. But then if you want to take it off again, that secondary pink notch up here allows it to come off very easily. Now the bow itself doesn't have a trigger or catch built in that you can use while it's alone, but when you attach it, it connects up with this little guy and it uses the base blaster's trigger as an extension, meaning now that they're connected, I can prime back the bow and it sits back, and it catches and it sits back until you pull the trigger and you can fire it with a trigger, which is cool. So if you want to ignore the base blaster's ability to actually fire and just use it as a chassis, you can totally do that and fire it like that. Or if you want to ignore the bow, you can continue using the base blaster alone on the same trigger mechanism. But that's kind of lame sauce. You want to use them together, right? So you can prime the bottom one as well as the top one, and then you can use the trigger as a 2-stage trigger. So when you pull down halfway, you just fire the bow, then you finish the trigger pull and it fires off the bottom one. The 2-stage triggers have been used in the past, like with the rough cut and the mega rough cut, or the twin shock. What did they call the mega rough cut? Duh. That is in my storage room, not right here. But it allows you to very easily, if you just wanted to use the bow like this and keep that bottom one primed as an emergency shot, you totally could, and then finish off the trigger pull to fire the bottom one. It's really easy to just pull halfway. If both blasters are primed, you can't fire the base blaster without firing the bow first, though. It's not like 2 separate triggers. It's a halfway pull, all the way pull. So there's no way to get all the way there without getting halfway there, without teleporting around the halfway marker. But that's not in the capability. Even though this totally looks like the Starship Enterprise, doesn't it? That can't just be me. Right when I connected them for the first time, I just was like, beam me up, Scotty! Speaking of teleportation, like to the, never mind. Woo, it's late. One of those film sessions again. Anyways, that is the basic operation. Both of them are spring powered when they're connected. They both work on the same trigger. Both of them hold 4 darts in their smart AR system barrels. So let's see it shoot. Bow only. Blaster only. both at the same time. Now both, but offset intentionally. For lack of a better category, tactical swag. It's a spaceship. And the spaceship was like, pew, 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 pew. Do, 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 do. So shooting the blaster is pretty entertaining because it's cool, it's new. It disconnects, you can shoot them one-on-one, or you can connect them and shoot both at once, which is pretty cool. However, I put this blaster up on my chronograph and I got really underwhelming results. But beyond the firing performance, I am really impressed with the attachment mechanism and how consistently the trigger mech works and the attachment mech. It is a pretty stable attachment mech. Now there is some shaking, but nothing that I wouldn't expect. And this locking mechanism is really functional in holding the bow on the blaster, which when you're priming it like that would be a big deal. If that was a weak joint and occasionally you just yank the bow off when you're priming it, that would be an annoyance, to say the least. But this was really stable, so I'm really happy with the function of that. And it's a cool concept to be able to connect the two, and not just connect the two and have them just connected, but these are connected and then kind of communicate with the trigger mech, which is really cool. So I hope Hasbro uses this mechanism in future blasters, hopefully like with the Modulus or more effective blaster-like concepts, because the bow arms, which do absolutely nothing, like meh. But to have a vertical grip or to be able to slide on multiple blasters like all over the Modulus and then have the triggers link up, that'd be super cool. So the mechanism works really well, the attachment works really well. I didn't have any jams or malfunctions. The performance out of firing velocity is just a little underwhelming. So overall opinion, would I recommend purchasing this for a goofy plinker? Maybe. If you're a Trekkie and you just want to like drive around the Starship Enterprise? Maybe. If you want to like defeat humans or zombies in a Nerf war? No, probably not. But that's just the nature of two 4-shot blasters like this. It's not that war effective. But it doesn't malfunction, it doesn't jam, and it does exactly what they say it's supposed to do. So that's good. Everything beyond that is just personal opinion and whether or not you would like this blaster. Also, a little note on the Rebelle AccuStrike darts. I was measuring them. I took a few of them apart and compared them to standard AccuStrike darts. They are effectively the same. They're just different color. Not a huge deal because, again, this blaster is not really based on performance because it's a bow blaster Enterprise spaceship. But in case you're curious, boom, purple AccuStrike darts. That's cool. So that's the review of the Rebelle Combow, and way to go, Hasbro, by only attaching one in-strike rail. So I can't actually do a combos episode on the combo. Like, duh! You could have done the Modulus combo and done the same concept, so then I could do a combo, but I can't, or that'd be super boring. Duh. Anyways, that is the Rebelle Combow review. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, bros, stay tactical. To the final frontier we go. Woo! Oh, we're doing this, bro. We're doing this.